Hey, what's going on, beautiful souls? Welcome to another day in class called Being a Human Being. Just as a reminder, you are a five-dimensional divine being who's taking a class on what it means to be a human. A human is an evolved animal adapted for life on Earth in the three-dimensional world and operates on a completely different set of realities as what you are used to as a five-dimensional divine being. This class aims to merge these two dimensions into one existence, which is what makes it such a challenging, confusing, and often paradoxical class, but one that is ultimately incredibly rewarding. So, the five-dimensional part of you, some people call this your soul, your higher self, your divine God, etc. This part of you operates in a limitless capacity of love and unity and perfection. The human three-dimensional part of you operates in almost the complete opposite. It operates based on survival, operates based on competition, it operates based on operant conditioning, and often pain avoidance. It is very limited. It needs to sleep, it needs to eat. It has a bunch of different motivations and urges and neurochemicals that run through its body that regulate its behavior. And this little class called Being a Human is learning how to straddle both worlds, learning how to survive and thrive, learning how to operate as a human being in the three-dimensional on planet Earth for now, while also integrating the principles and the way of being that exists in the five-dimensional world. As any class, it's a pretty open class. The curriculum is largely self-dictated and is a self-learning course, but there are some fundamental rules that I'm going to share with you. So just like we talked about, you will receive a body for this class. It's going to be rented out to you, but will be yours for the duration of this iteration of your class. You may or may not like it, that's up to you, but it will serve as the container for your existence. And so what you do with that information is entirely up to you. Next, like any class, there will be lessons. And every moment is an opportunity to learn a specific lesson. What that lesson is for you to figure out. It's part of the fun. You may receive help as well, but ultimately it is up to you to learn the lesson. Again, because this is a self-learning class, there's a lot of trial and error, a lot of quote unquote failed experiments, a lot of mistakes, but these are all part of the process to learn the lessons. Luckily for us, we're not the first souls to embark on this challenge. And so we have people who've come before us who've learned some lessons and can pass them on to us. However, it is still incumbent upon each and every one of us to draw our own conclusions and to assess whether the lessons that our ancestors learned continue to apply or maybe partially apply. And we need to determine what is the applicable lesson for us moving forward. As I mentioned, every scenario, every moment is an opportunity for you to learn a lesson. And the quicker you learn the lesson, the quicker you can move on. And if you're stuck at a specific lesson, the universe will continue to repeat a specific pattern or a specific scenario, a specific reality until you learn the lesson. And often the scenario will start small, but will become increasingly disruptive until you can no longer ignore the lesson and you must pay attention and learn the lesson. And once you learn the lesson, that scenario will disappear. Lastly, as long as you're alive and a human being in this class, that means that the lessons have not ended. The lessons do not end. When you finally learn all your lessons, that's when you attain enlightenment and you graduate from this course. What happens after that course, I have no idea. Perhaps you get a chance to design your own class as an architect for another universe. Who knows? All we know is that for now, if you are alive, there are lessons to be learned. As I mentioned previously, we are lucky because our ancestors have passed on some of their acquired wisdom to us. But again, it is up to each one of us to assess whether or to what extent those lessons still apply. However, the following four, I would say, to me, are lessons that continue to apply. The first is that there are two types of better. So there is better in the five-dimensional realm, which does not exist because in the five-dimensional realm, everything is already perfect. But in the three-dimensional realm, in our external reality, not everything is perfect. And so what we do and how we live in the three-dimensional realm is always towards some future that we consider is better or brighter. And this is based on our values. But we must understand that while we do strive in the three-dimensional world towards a better future, we must hold the seemingly paradoxical and simultaneous understanding or belief that things are perfect in the five-dimensional world. And so things are always both perfect and imperfect, or imperfectly perfect. And so there is, on one level, there's always a better, but on another level, there is no better. I hope that makes sense. The next lesson that our ancestors have passed to us is that others are merely mirrors of ourselves. Other people are other souls in other bodies also taking this class. And while we interact with each other in various ways, ultimately the lessons that we must learn have to come from within and have to come from ourselves. We must accept the lessons and learn the lessons for ourselves. What we mean when others are merely mirrors or reflections of us is that other people are not what we think they are. We are what we think they are. So there is no objective reality to the way that other people are. How we perceive them is solely a reflection of our worldview and our way of thinking. And often when we don't accept something, whether we do or we don't love or hate, accept or don't accept something about someone else, is a reflection of that same sentiment towards a part of ourselves. And so everything that we don't like about other people is an invitation for us to consider how that may apply to ourselves. Next, again, because we are these two parts, we must hold the paradoxical and simultaneous view that your internal life, which is can entirely be in the 5-dimensional realm, is completely up to you. Your internal state is entirely within your control. Whether you feel peaceful, happy, joyful, excited, etc. Now, externally, we're obviously affected by our environment, by our upbringing, by what's going on in the world, etc., etc. And part of our collective mission as souls in human bodies taking this class is matching our external reality to our internal reality. And on a global societal level, it's elevating the collective consciousness and aligning our collective internal state to that 5D level so that our 3-dimensional external reality can catch up and match that. And the thing is, because the 3-dimensional world operates in action and in cause and effect, there's a time gap between where we are internally and what shows up externally. Because if I have some vision or something I hope to create or some mental state, there is a time gap of when I come up with that and when I'm able to create that in the physical 3-dimensional reality. And what we are seeking to do and the trend that we've seen in terms of our progression as a species is providing more and more people the opportunity to have more ability to match their external reality with their internal reality. And that requires freedom, and it requires equality of opportunity, and it requires stability, and all these things that, again, we are working towards as a species. But there's still work to be done. And lastly, again, all the lessons must come from within. You have all the answers. It's not so much a process of learning the lessons, but of discovering and uncovering them. Perhaps we are born with the lessons already, and life is just a process of peeling back the onion and wading through the mud to let the answer reveal itself to us. So, a lot of our upbringing is muddying the water and creating ways that allow us to survive. And then part of the maturation or the journey of enlightenment is unlearning or perhaps integrating the lessons that we learned, or sorry, the mechanisms that we adopted and the conditioning that we adopted um, to reveal the lessons and the answers that have been within us all along. I hope that made sense. I hope I communicated that in a way that is understandable and digestible. This is not an easy topic to communicate effectively. Let me know in the comments what you thought so I can continue to improve and on the three-dimensional level. And this is a slide in my book, The Ancestral Father. You can get that, I'm sure, in a link below, as well as the free checklist of the Ancestral Father in a link below. Again, all the best to you. Enjoy your time here as a human being. It doesn't last forever, although your soul does. So I believe. Until next time.